Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Welcome back, Lee.
I'm back.
Yeah, you haven't got the
Bruce.
Bolo voice. Oh, I miss Bruce. Where's Bruce gone?
Oh, he's gone for good now. Gone for good.
We learnt something this week, didn't we?
What's that?
What? Oh, you don't remember what we learnt?
No.
That if you leave a pregnancy test for too long, it may display a plus sign. I didn't know this, and neither did Lita, because we literally, as the day went on, the plus sign in the little pregnancy test got more and more evident. We're like, oh my God, you're totally pregnant. But
it's been one hell of a week for us this week.
Yeah, that was a lesson well learnt. There's a reason it says check immediately after like 3 minutes. Don't check 3.5 hours later, because the result may be a little bit different. So, yeah.
Well, it's been fun. You know, I've had blood tests and seen doctors and still don't have my period. So I'm just like screwed up.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on?
I just screwed up. You got to stop doing that. That's one thing you always do. It's like you say, like, I'm broken. No, you're not broken. Pregnancy is just a hard thing.
No, but I am broken at the moment though, because my cycle's not working. Hello.
I love it. I love it. Like with females, it's like, you know, I'm out of whack. It's like my cycle, like part of your system's corrupt.
Yeah.
It's like,
Alt control delete. Alt control delete.
Yeah. Task manager.
I want a refund.
Speaking of pregnancies, our guest tonight actually just recently had a little baby of themselves. I'm sure they didn't have a fake positive. You know, that they actually had the real thing. So I reckon we might as well introduce our guest.
Sounds good. We'll get straight into it today. You don't want to listen to my sexy voice today. You just want to get straight into it.
It's not as fascinating this week. You know.
I'll see if I can make it through the intro
this week.
You
sound
week.
About 10 cents a minute rather than $1 a minute. Yeah.
That's how much you pay me. Our guest tonight has had the mini bypass back in May of 2017. Since then, she has definitely made the most of her mission to change things for the better. This includes having her little bubba not too long ago. Please welcome our guest tonight, Hayley, also known as Halved Hayley on Instagram. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You think after all this time I would know how to open like Zoom on the screen? And
I could see you were just sweating. You're like, oh my God,
I can't do
slow
it.
down, stop talking.
Can I firstly just say thank you so much for coming on, because you are someone who like I've watched since the very start of my process. And even Alita, she's like, oh, Hayley's coming on, because she knows I do watch your stuff, mainly because I think you have adapted so well to the surgery. And I know you're going to sit there and be like, oh, stop giving me compliments, because you are a very modest person. And it's something I think I'm going to have to probably compliment you more than you'll compliment yourself, because you just kind of go, yeah, I just do my thing.
Very much.
I think we have to start by saying your handle, we just talked about this before, you've changed it to halved Hayley. It used to be halving Hayley. You've now and this does I love this. My OCD loved that your starting weight was 126 and you're now 63. Exactly half. So your handle does not lie.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, it took me a while to actually change it, because I was like, oh, you know, once if I put weight back on, and then I'll just be, okay, well, I need to halve myself again. I was like, nah, it's done. I'm now halved. That's it. I just cut it.
That's it. Just halved.
Changed it.
You're not going to be like halving plus GST, Hayley?
No.
No, just
plus COVID tax.
Plus COVID tax.
I think that would be.
I'm going to keep blowing your ego up, you know, because obviously I've watched your thing and you've done very well. If you, like, sitting here now, what do you owe, like, what would you say you owe your success to?
I think that I was mentally ready when I decided to have weight loss surgery. I had been struggling with my weight since I was a kid. So the first time I ever had a diet was when I was 15 years old. I was put on Weight Watchers by my doctor, and that was pretty much the first time I tried to lose weight. And then years and years and years down the track, still struggling. And my sister actually had a sleeve, and she's nearly 8 years out now.
Wow.
So she had it well before me. She had it 4 years prior to me. And when she was going to get it, I still remember I cried the day that she told me she was going to go do it because I was like, you can't do this. Like, it's major surgery. Because 8 years ago, it was like the first people who have ever had it. It was so new. And I was like, you can't do it. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can diet, you can exercise, you know, you can get rid of it and stuff like that. And she's like, no, Hayley, this is the way. Like, I'm going to lose weight. Like, I've tried everything. And I was like, okay, fine, you do it and we'll see how it goes. And she has done amazing.
Yeah.
So she lost her weight. She couldn't fall pregnant before. She's had 2 babies now. And she's kept off her weight.
Yeah,
so,
8 years out.
She was, 8 years out.
And has she
So
halved
she was kind of
herself
the
as
first-
well?
She has lost, not halved, but she has lost, I think, over 50, nearly 60 kilos.
Wow.
So, yeah. So she was the one who kind of introduced me to weight loss surgery, actually. And then watching her go through her journey and she changed her eating habits. I was like, well, it's obviously not a cheat way. Like, you have to obviously change your habits and everything like that. And then I started to look into it myself, and I made the decision to not go sleeve, but I chose bypass for my own reasons. But, yeah, and the surgery is there for a reason, and it helps people.
Yeah. What was the reasons that you went down the mini bypass rather than the sleeve? What were the things that led you that way?
Yeah. Well, knowing my sister had the sleeve, so I knew some of the things that she had struggled with as well, having first-hand experience. So her and her husband both had the sleeve at the same time.
Yeah.
And he lost, I think, nearly 90 kilos, and he's kept all his weight off too.
Wow.
They struggled more with like reflux and really, really tight restriction. They couldn't really drink water. That's what, and I loved water. So I didn't really want to get stuck with that. But also the biggest things that I struggled with eating was carbs and sugar.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So I have to change my habits. So I wanted the dumping. I wanted to have that negative association with the food. And I was like, well, that's it. I'm done. I just won't have it anymore. So when I decided to have the mini bypass, the first year I couldn't eat any bread. I couldn't eat any potato because I got really sick. And it really made me not want it.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
So
I eat it now.
Yeah, you like forced it out of your diet.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it really forced me to change my habits and re-look at different foods. I love fruit and veggies. I liked fruit before, but not really so much veggies. But I just love that stuff now. Like, and I will eat carbs and bread and everything like that, but I don't go for it now. It's not my thing that I really go for.
Yeah.
Change the relationship
Isn't
with
it funny? I say it all the time that our body starts to crave, like when you get fitter and healthier, your body actually starts to crave those sorts of foods. So like I know, excuse me, I know that when I was bigger and overweight, all I wanted was the carbs and the pastas and all that sort of thing. Because that was what
quick release kind of like energy. That's what we were chasing.
But now, and you've told people so many times, my hangover food is like tomatoes, because that's like my body is depleted. Obviously, when I'm like hungover, my body is depleted of all of its like fresh nutrient food. So it's just like, give me all of the nourishment. Like it's just amazing how much your body changes.
And you notice it a lot more too. Like I think it's kind of emphasized, I guess in sleeve a little bit as well, because it's the restriction side of things. When you do have a day of just eating garbage, the next day you just feel horrible. So it emphasizes on how important good fuels are. Like that's why I've religiously always had oats for breakfast, because there's nothing better that kind of...
That blows my mind that you still have oats.
Yeah, because it's like slow burning carbs. So it's like, when you're doing a large day, there's no better fuel source. So it's kind of, you just feel great. And that's what we do this for at the end of the day, to feel better and more energized.
Yeah.
So Hayley, were you offered... like the mini bypass straight up, or did you get to choose between like the Roux-en-Y or the mini bypass, or?
My surgeon offered me either the mini bypass or the sleeve, and he said do my own research, and he said you're a great candidate for both, and he said whatever you're more comfortable with. So I ended up choosing the mini because I read the complication history of it. The mini bypass is actually reversible, which I really liked because if there was any complications, I still had my full stomach. I still had other things that I could work with. The weight loss was actually greater with the mini bypass as well. So longer weight loss, and because it's got the malabsorption side as well. And it just made more sense for me. I felt like I had a lot of weight to lose. My highest was 131. So I was like, well, I do have a lot of weight. What happens if I have the sleeve and I only lose 40 kilos and I want to lose a bit more than that? Or, I was scared that I didn't want another surgery. This was it for me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Can you scull water? After listening to someone with the bypass the other day.
Are you going to show us? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to show.
Yeah,
So
I can chug it.
Oh, wow.
Show us.
Chug.
Chug.
But I think that was something I knew prior to surgery, is that with the bypass.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, because
wow.
with the sleeve, you can't chug water. Like, you
No.
can't chug anything. And that's kind of a real downfall I found for the sleeve.
It's the number one thing that still makes me feel sick after the sleeve is drinking water too quickly.
Yeah, like especially like when we do events and stuff and you go past the water station, and you kind of happen to like sip it. It's kind of doesn't work very well.
No.
It's much easier if you could just go bang, done. Yeah, so I thought I'd ask you because someone said that last week with the bypass.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you can actually scull water with the bypass? Ugh, there we go.
If I had known, I would have got a bypass. Damn it.
Maybe.
I think one of the biggest things for me was that I didn't want to have that really, really tight restriction and not be able to have the water or drink. And the reason why is because you don't have the sphincter in the bottom of where they do the, I can't even think of the word, amastosis or something. I can't even think of the word, but where they stitch it.
Okay.
So, so where they stitch it, you don't actually have a sphincter. So you have your normal sphincter at the bottom of your stomach, but mine was cut off.
So I learned out the other day
Are you saying sphincter? She's like, do you have a sphincter?
You love that
Yep,
word.
sphincter.
Every time someone says sphincter, I think of like butthole. Like, your sphincter.
So I learned the other day.
Well, it is.
It's the
It's like your
sphincter of your stomach, not
it's
your butt.
Stomach's
It's
butthole.
the same. It does the same thing. It's just. Anyway, my hand movement.
It holds your food there, and that's why they say not to drink, because it can push it through your sphincter a little bit quicker.
So I
I'm
actually
such a child.
was chatting.
That word makes me laugh
I
so
feel like
hard.
you're blushing.
I am.
Why are you blushing at the word sphincter?
Too many sphincter. It's too much sphincter. Oh,
Says
wow.
nobody ever. So
Yeah.
I was chatting with my surgeon the other day because I was asking him the difference between because he does the mini omega loop bypass.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out the difference between them and the Roux Y and the Sadie and all that sort of thing. And he said that he does the omega mini loop bypass because it's essentially almost the same as the sleeve. It's just that they leave the stomach in there. So, because I was asking him about the pouch. So, apparently with the mini bypass, you don't actually physically have like a pouch that people talk about.
Yeah.
So, it's essentially the same as a sleeve, but they reroute your bowel as well.
Okay.
So, and he showed me all these pictures and stuff, and it was actually quite impressive. And with the Roux Y, it's called a Y because they slice up and they make a Y. Yeah, they do. They make a Y with so they put part of your intestine at the top and the other part of your intestine down the bottom, and it creates this big Y, and they have to put a pouch at the top of that. But the mini loop is a bit more so you have a long, slim pouch, so to speak, but it's actually the same as a sleeve, but you're leaving your stomach in there. It's slightly different to a sleeve, but yes.
Yeah, I feel like we need diagrams. Might have to do a class with Leader and she can draw it all out for us so we can understand.
I'll do a post on our Instagram and show you the difference between all of them. But
Hayley, have you had any complications at all since having surgery?
The only thing that I had was a year out. I got my gallbladder, but that was it.
The gallbladder.
I've had no other complications other than that.
Yeah, because that seems to be the thing. And do you think the gallbladder, I read, was due to large amounts of weight loss quickly? Not so much bariatric surgery. A lot of bariatric patients have it, and I think it's due to the large amount of weight loss quickly that makes it not the bariatric surgery. Is that
It's something, yes, and it's something to do with the amount of bile that your body makes and the calcium buildup and all of that sort of stuff.
I feel like I'm getting left out with the gallbladder thing because I feel like everyone's had it done and I haven't, and I'm like, oh, but I want to be part of the gallbladder crew.
Oh, you're not missing anything.
No,
The gallbladder attacks
I'm not.
You have your gallbladder, so you're definitely not missing
I'm
anything.
definitely not missing a gallbladder. As we mentioned in the intro, you had a beautiful little baby girl as well. Was having a baby something you had planned from the start?
Yes. So that was another reason why I wanted to lose the weight. So we tried to have a baby while I was bigger and I was infertile. We just couldn't fall pregnant. And my insulin resistance was so high. I had, so many hormonal different things that I just couldn't fall. So I wanted to lose weight to be healthy for her and to be active. So losing weight was a huge thing for us to start a family.
Yeah.
Wow. And something that I've been chatting with Shannon recently and a few other people is because obviously we're trying at the moment. Mentally, I think I'm going to struggle with, we've spent so long losing all of this weight, and then when you fall pregnant, you start seeing the scales go back up again, and your clothes don't fit anymore and all that sort of thing. And I understand it's for a different reason, but mentally, how did you go with gaining weight again?
Honestly, it's really hard, like for you to hop on that scale and to associate that number not with fat, but a growing baby. So I think for me, I had to really remember that you have extra blood, you have the baby, you have the placenta growing, you have all these different things that, a healthy pregnancy, you're putting on minimum 10 kilos. So and that's a bare minimum. That's like baby fluid, like nothing else.
Yeah.
And then you should really have other fat stores as well that help grow the baby. So for me, I got really sick at the start. So I had to really try and make sure that I was eating enough because I'm quite thin, right? So I was like, in my mind, okay, no, Hayley, you have to make sure that you eat. So I had to make sure that I was like borderline eating enough to the point where I didn't throw up, but I wanted to throw up. So it was a really fine line because like while being pregnant, I just was so sick. So I had to try and, it was really weird, but it was hard to, I guess, not feel bad about the weight gain. I think when I got to over halfway, I was like, oh, no, I'm over it. Like, just do whatever and I'll deal with it afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So did you get straight back on because you do your home workouts and stuff like that, were you straight back into that after pregnancy? Like, did it take you a while to get back into it?
No, pretty much I said to myself straight after pregnancy, I wanted to get back to what I enjoyed as quickly as I could. And I also wanted to make sure that I had a good core strength again, because after you have a baby, your pelvic floor is like so weakened. So the biggest thing I did was from week 3, I did just pelvic floor exercises until I was cleared to do proper exercise after 3 months.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
I love that you just said that you wanted to get back to doing things that make you happy and feel good as quickly as possible, because like that's putting it right there. You don't do exercise because you want to work out or because you have to do it. You do it because it's like your happy space and where you want to be. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually I had a question that I was going to be like, do you seem like you've found a good balance. Is it a balance? And I was saying in my question I wrote down, do you do it because you love it or do you do it because you have to? And
you answered it already.
You just answered it because you do love it. Because obviously some people find it really hard to find that balance of constant exercise. And I watch you and your stories, and I always feel like you do it so religiously that you would have to enjoy it, because there's no way you'd be able to do it over and over and over. Like you've done it for years now, with the same workouts and different things and at home. So is it something you've had to grow to love, or is it something you just loved since the start?
I did have to grow to love it. So at first, it was hard.
Mhm.
Like, I've never been a huge workout person. I never really did sports as a kid either. The only thing I played was tennis. I had to really say to myself, no, you've done weight loss, you've lost some weight now, but what else do you want to achieve? Like, do you just want to be thin? You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't. I wanted to be fit. So when I first started exercising, I started videoing it for myself as an accountability thing and for people to see me doing it as an accountability, and then also just to see technique and all that kind of stuff too. So when I first started, it was discipline that got me there, but I really enjoy it now because every day I got up and I did it, I felt better. I had a clearer mind when I was at work. I had work goals that I wanted to achieve with my career, and it really helped me focus once I got to work. And I just felt so much better.
Yeah. Because that was actually, you just kind of pre-answered another question that I was going to ask about social media, because I feel like you, as someone who you don't overwhelm yourself with social media, I just feel like you've been putting like your little workout things up. And do you do that as like a keeping you accountable thing? Is that what you use social media for, or how have you found that whole thing?
I used to do it for accountability. Now I do it because a lot of people, say if when I don't put it up, they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, where was your workout today? I like watching it. I like to see what you do and that kind of thing." So I do it now because people like to watch it,
Yeah.
or they'll say, "What did you do today?" or anything like that. And I guess it's a way for me to stay active in the community. I don't necessarily post a lot or anything like that. I kind of keep to myself a little bit. I'm a bit quiet in that way. I don't like any drama or anything like that. I just stay in my own little bubble. I just do it now because it's my way of kind of showing up and being like, hey guys, I'm still here. I'm still doing it day in, day out. You can still do it.
Yeah. Well, that showing up like that, that's a perfect way to put it. Cause like that is something, cause that's why you're always been at the top of my like story things is like one of the first ones that's always highlighted. Cause it's like you have ingrained that, that showing up mentality of just on days, I'm sure you just wake up and you're like, I can't be bothered. You still do it. And that for me has always been something I've gone, I like almost valued that. And I guess I'm one of those people who, if you didn't post your little workout stories, I'd be like, oh my God, is she okay? What's going on? You know what I mean?
It's funny like, too, though, because
that constantality. There's a word there. I don't know what it is.
Continuity.
But like, where it's like you're constantly showing up and you're constantly doing it. And that makes me question within myself, like, is the excuse I'm making today worthy? Because like I know you'd have your excuses, but then you'd still do it anyway. So it's seeing other people do that, it makes you feel almost less like insane, I guess, when you do it on a constant basis. So
but it's funny too, because I've joined a CrossFit gym recently, and at the moment, because we're in lockdown, I can't go, and they have been posting our workouts to our little group chat thing. And like they say, please take a photo or like video yourself so that we, not that they're checking in on us, but they just like to see that everybody, like, how they're doing it. And I did it this afternoon. I recorded myself, and it does though. It makes you, like, I was sitting there all day today being like, oh, it's 4:30. I should be at the gym now, so I should actually go and do it. And because you record it and you put it up there, it's kind of like it keeps you accountable, and it makes you do it.
Yeah, no, like I find a lot, like if you don't, like you just said before, like I was the same. If I didn't post for a while, people would be like, oh, are you okay? And it's kind of like makes you in your back of your head go, oh, like, am I being lazy? Like, am I not doing it enough? And like I know at the start I was doing a lot of things like climbing mountains and different things like that, just to kind of be present and do things, because sometimes the routine can be very mundane.
And like, now you're just running ultras.
Well, now it's just like I enjoy it. Like it's almost like I was
you're at the same point as Hayley now.
Hayley, like, did you grow to love it? Because I was the same. I didn't love it at the start. It's just I did it so often. I built like almost a habit that now I do love it. And I think that's really important and something for people to kind of go, oh, I'm not going to love it at the start, but if I stick with it, maybe one day.
I used to hate running, but now I genuinely love running.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to create that habit. 4.5 years out, how do you find your restrictions and your tolerances around foods? There's still like certain foods that don't sit well for you, or?
It's funny. I never used to be able to eat egg until I had Poppy, and now I can eat egg.
Oh.
So that's weird. Yeah, that was probably the one thing that I wasn't able to eat was egg, and now I love egg. It's strange.
Does Poppy hate egg?
No.
Does she take the tolerance with her?
No, she likes it.
Okay.
No, there's not really anything. I can pretty much eat anything and everything now. I can eat bread, I can eat carbs, I can eat ice cream, I can eat, but just not a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's just portioning it to the, a small amount, and it's enough to satisfy me. And but there's nothing that makes me sick.
And you don't really get dumping or anything anymore? You've sort of outgrown the dumping?
No, I don't get dumping unless it's really, really high fat food. That's probably the only thing that if it's really, really, really fatty, then I will, but I don't really eat it. So, because it's got that association that I don't really want it.
Yeah.
I was driving through Macca's and getting my coffee today, and I thought to myself, oh, do I want to get a hash brown? And I'm like, I'm not hungry. Nah, I won't get it. And that just to me was like, that's crazy. I would have never said no before.
Yeah.
Like the opportunity to get food before was, if it was there, I would have taken it. And so just saying no to food is like a big thing.
You've almost got to like high five yourself
today.
for that.
I was like, oh.
You got to like high five yourself and be like,
I was like,
I did
said
that.
no.
You're like, you say to the dude at the window, you're like, no, you forgot to ask me if I want fries with that, so I can specifically say no.
No,
I don't want fries today. But that just shows how far you've come, not just physically, but also mentally as well, because it does, a lot of the time I find it is just association with being in those places. Like I'll always not always, but if I go through Macca's, which is very rarely these days, the hash brown, it's always like, oh yeah, I can just get, they're small, I can eat it, I'm sure I could, but you never end up eating it because it's so oily and gross and fatty, and B, it's always too much food. So I really need to, and you say it to me all the time, Shannon, because I'm the biggest, I order what my brain wants and not what my belly wants.
Oh yeah. You've still got big eyes. Like you still go, I want this, the flavor of this. And I'm like, you realize that's a lot, right?
Yeah, but I want all the flavors. Yeah. The number one thing that my father used to always say to me when I was younger is your eyes are bigger than your belly. And they still are, because I still want to...
but now they're much bigger than your belly.
Yeah.
Because it's like it used to be bigger and now it's tiny, and it's like you get like 7 meals and you have a nibble of each and then throw it out. And I'm like, wow, that was a waste.
But it's just because I want to try all the flavors. I love the taste of food. I would be happy to just have one mouthful of every single thing. But...
yeah, it doesn't work
wastes.
like that. Because it's like what I just thought about when Hayley was saying that is habits do go both ways. Like it's funny how we're just talking about habits when it comes to like building healthy habits around exercise and different things like that. But then habits like going to McDonald's and grabbing food rather than just your coffee, and like those habits are the negative habits. So as much as you need to create new habits, you need to be very wary of the old habits and recognize them. And that's a huge part of this whole process, is being like, because it's very easy to justify that habit. So.
I've still got a habit of I go into the supermarket and I'll buy snacky foods, even though I don't really like eating them. And the other day I came home from the grocery store because I had to do my essential shop because we're in lockdown. And I went and put a packet of chips in the back of the cupboard. And I realized I now have 3 packets of chips in the back of the cupboard. I've hoarded packets of chips and 2 blocks of chocolate. I haven't eaten them. Shannon clearly hasn't found them yet because they're still in the cupboard. But like I go to the shop and I have this habit of just, I think that I'll want this later. But if it's out of sight, out of mind.
That's a habit. One of your habits is going to be a bad habit for me.
Yeah, because if I don't see it in the cupboard,
I'm like, ooh, I have no self-control.
But that's bad. That's a habit that I've got to get out of because I do it all the time. Yeah. I'll buy something because it's on special and it'll sit in the cupboard. And now we've got 3 packets of twisties in the cupboard. Like,
well, now I know. Damn. Looking back, if you could give yourself one heads up, like something that's happened throughout this process that you kind of went, I wish I knew about that prior to surgery, what would it be?
Probably connect with the right people and listening to don't listen to everybody's advice. Listen to your health professionals. And connect with people that are going to support your goals and going to keep you on track.
Mm. That can be in both ways as well, like professional and personal as well.
Because I was just about to say, did you have much support from professionals throughout this whole journey? Like, have you been seeing dietitians and psychologists the whole way through?
Yeah, so as part of my my surgeon was the same person who did my sister, my brother-in-law. It was mandatory as part of our surgery that we had to see the psychologist and the dietitian for a minimum of 2 years prior to surgery and after surgery. So we had really good relationships with the psychologist and the dietitian and our surgeon the whole way through. So, yeah, I have always been in contact with them. I still make appointments if I feel like I need to. When I got down to my lowest weight, I had quite a few appointments with the dietitian because I got too thin at one point and I was trying to figure out, what I was doing, what I was eating and how I can put a bit more back on without introducing those bad habits again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was working together with both of them to figure out, okay, well, what's the habits? How do I then introduce foods, healthy foods, and not get stuck into those bad habits that I used to have? So they really helped me with the psychology part, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that has helped me in my journey is the mindset and the psychology. I think that if I didn't have that support, I wouldn't have been as successful.
Yeah. That's a very valid point you just made about, because I was thinking about that the other day, when you get to that lowest weight where you almost go to your goal weight and then a little bit below, you're right. You do sometimes, rather than just being like, okay, what's the correct way to kind of like look at this, the big picture. I know personally, I started reintroducing a few bad habits to be like, but I can afford to put on a few kilos. And that was something I had to pull up real quick because I was like, it could have turned the opposite way a lot faster.
You could have gone down the slope too quickly.
Yeah, so I think that's a really valid point because just because you're losing a lot of weight, you've got to be careful not to do the big old switch up and go the opposite way with the bad habits.
So how did you find that you were able to sort of put the weight back on steadily and healthily?
Doing more exercise, actually. I ended up becoming naturally more hungry.
Yeah.
And then I ended up just eating things that are a bit more filling. So each meal I ate a little bit more protein, a little bit more carbs. I just introduced more things. So, like, I used to stay away from putting butter on anything. I still find that I don't do that a lot, but now, like, if I find that my restriction's really tight, I can put extra butter on, my piece of toast or whatever to make sure that I'm getting some type of calories in. But it was more eating. Yeah, I think just getting naturally more hungry from exercise mainly, and not reaching for, okay, well, I've only eaten 1,200 calories. I'm going to have a cake today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've had 1,200 calories. Okay, well, what can I have that's filling and that's a good snack? Okay, I might have a yogurt, or I might have, after I've finished dinner, I might have, the leftovers that I had, I might have that again. So, like, have a second dinner. I did that a lot with lunch, actually. So, like, if I feel like my restriction was tight, I would have my lunch, and then whatever I didn't finish, I'd set aside to have second lunch later, instead of getting a snack.
Yeah. Well,
That's such a good way of looking at it too, because so many people would just go, oh, as Shannon just said before, like, oh, I've got, essentially I can eat more, I've got to gain weight, so they'll reach for the ice creams or they'll reach for the lollies, and essentially it's empty calories. Yes, you will gain the weight, but you're going to.
It almost plays into that, like, remember that the other diet that people do with the points, and it's kind of like certain foods were certain points, and I always found that really dangerous, and it kind of plays into the same thing because, like, people would be like, well, I'm not going to have. Yeah, and there's another one. There's going to diet, and it's like an apple's worth 4 points and an ice cream's worth 20 points. So people would be like, well, I'm just going to have ice cream rather than having, the 4 pieces of fruit.
It's calorie counting.
Yeah, calorie counting, but there's a point system that gets around with it, and I think that's the same thing because it's very easy sometimes to like look at like even calories.
So instead of eating 4 apples today, I'm just gonna have 1 slice of cake, but I'm still within my point reasoning, so it's fine.
Yeah, and I think getting to a point where you can recognize foods and the fuel source they are, rather than looking at them as like a calorie amount, because I think that's something we do fall into as well, where we look at like, oh, we've got 1,200 calories per day. This is worth of this amount of calories, rather than looking at it as like, hey, this is yogurt, and it'll give me this effect. I think that's also a good thing to ingrain, where it's kind of not so much looking at numbers, but like looking anymore. At food as what fuel source it is.
Do you calorie count, Hayley?
I do. I don't eat it now. Because I think I did it so religiously, I now know just what things are.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was really important to do because it actually helped me understand, what foods are high in calorie? What's going to help make me gain weight? Something that might seem healthy. Like I used to, pack healthy snacks, and they are healthy, right? So I used to pack like a bag of nuts. And I was like, I eat so healthy. That bag of nuts was like 600 calories for the bag of nuts. And I could have had a full, proper, nutritious meal, and I was hungry after the nuts because they didn't fill you. So I think that it was important for me to understand the calorie side of things that, it's health, what's healthy, what's not healthy, but the actual what its calories are worth in relation to weight. I don't really do it that much anymore. I think because it just comes naturally to me now. But I still, if I go out or anything like that, I still kind of think, well, how much would that be compared to that? What's the healthier option? And so then I'll always end up going towards a healthier option.
Have you put a lot of emphasis into like educating yourself when it comes to food and stuff? Do you feel like you put a lot more work into that side of things?
I feel like that was my whole thing. Well, I used to not be able to focus on that stuff. Like calorie counting to me was so stressful. And thinking about food, it made me think about food more. Like when you're big, you're constantly thinking about food. What's my next meal? What can I have to eat? As you're eating, you're thinking, what's next?
Yeah.
And so the calorie counting wasn't helpful for me when I was bigger because I was constantly just thinking about food. Okay, well, I've had this amount of calories now. Okay, what can I eat later? How can I fit that in my calories? So it wasn't really good for me when I was big. But when I had the tool at the start, I wasn't hungry. So doing the calorie counting at the start of when I was using my tool, I wasn't hungry when I was doing it. So it's like when they say go grocery shopping when you're not hungry. Because when you go grocery shopping when you're hungry, you'll buy everything, right? So, like, I'll grab this, I'll grab that. So for me, calorie counting when I was at the start of my tool was really helpful because I wasn't thinking, okay, well, what can I fit in? I was just literally like, well, what am I eating? Yeah, I was like, well, what am I eating? Is it healthy? Okay, let's break it down from like macronutrients. Is it, healthy and all that kind of stuff? So it really helped me focus on the nutrition side and the education rather than, just the stress of the food. If that makes sense.
I think there's 2 different kinds of people too, because there's some people who swear by it and other people who just can't do it. I'm the latter. I can't do it. There's too many numbers. There's too many. Like I tried to do it. My dietitian recommended this app that you put everything in there, and it would be like, how much margarine did you put on your toast today? I'm like, I don't know. I just like put it on there.
You gotta say, how much margarine did you put on your butter today?
I was going to say that. But like, I just couldn't. It was just too much thinking and preparing and figuring it out. Like I was just like, I just want to eat. Like I don't want to have to. I'm bad with numbers.
When I say I calorie counted, I probably wasn't as strict as what some people are. I kind of loosely calorie counted, so I knew what I wanted to do as a ballpark. So I always say set 1,500 for myself, but I gave myself a buffer. Yep. So I never counted things like butter or the sugar that I put in my cup of tea or I should have, but I didn't like count the oil that I cooked with or anything like that, because like I would say set myself 1,500 calories, but I knew that for maintenance or weight loss, I could still eat 1,800. So the extra 300 would go to those things anyway. So I just didn't bother about counting that stuff.
Yeah, because that's the thing though. Like, it's like how much oil do you put in your yeah, exactly. And then it asks you, like, it's like, keep a food diary. Tell me exactly what you're eating. And it's like, I don't know how much oil. I just put a splash of oil on my in the fry pan. Like, that's 150 calories. Oh, shit. I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, I didn't measure it. It's already in there.
It's already in there.
I
What
can't
have I
take
done?
it back out.
No.
This is so stressful.
How much milk do I put in my coffee every morning? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
too much.
It's too hard.
Yeah. I want 3 things off you, Hayley. What would be the 3 things that you would say have contributed towards your success that you've implemented into your life?
Definitely the psychology part on focusing on, understanding food, nutrition, mindset, like making sure that I've got mindful eating and understanding my hunger scale. But the psychology around my habits, probably a huge thing. The psychology is for me the biggest. It would be routine. Routine's another huge thing for me. Was meal prepping, making sure that I know what I'm going to do at the start of each day. I think eating the same things every day for me was really helpful. And then if I wanted to go out on the weekend, I could, because I knew, okay, well, I'd done the right thing majority of the time. So it's what you do majority of the time, not the one-off thing. So if I was, a good 90% of the time, it didn't matter if I wanted to have a bit of this and a bit of that. I can do it.
Yeah.
So routine and meal prepping was really important. And discipline with, doing my exercise and that, because it was good for my mind and my body. So having the motivation and the discipline to do that, I think, has been helpful.
And have you found that your routine and your discipline has changed much since having your daughter? Or have you been able to sort of pick it back up and get back into a routine, even if it's different?
I think you incorporate your daughter into it a little bit more. You lift her.
Yeah, and instead of using dumbbells, you use your daughter, Poppy.
Routine is definitely not what it used to be. I have not meal prepped since I have had Poppy, pretty much. So it's kind of been go with the flow more.
Yeah.
I cook what I can on the day. One thing is that I still keep leftovers, so I try and make sure that dinner is good, so then I have a good lunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one kind of thing, but I haven't actually meal prepped as such. Having good snacks in the cupboard, doing a good grocery shop is probably one of the biggest things that I've done, but no routine as such with that. And with exercise, I've really only kind of hit a routine maybe in the last 2-3 months, and be more consistent. But the first 6 months of having a baby is like, it just basically goes out the window. Like they're so unpredictable. Especially if they don't sleep, like Poppy, it gets really hard. Like nap times, you think, oh great, I'm going to do this now. They're going to go down for a nap, and then they don't nap, and you're like, okay, well great, I can't do it now. So it's trying to then find time to do it, which is hard. But I think having the support of, Jacob and my husband has been amazing, because, if I couldn't get it done in her nap time, he would check in with me and say, hey, how are you feeling? Do you need to exercise when I get home from work? You do that, I'll do, whatever, with the baby and that kind of thing. So having that support there was really important. That's helped me. It's not a routine, but it's more of a flexible kind of arrangement.
Wow.
You're really selling this whole having a baby thing.
Having a baby sounds really hard.
Shan, take note there.
You just go,
It is.
Is it not like, sleep time now, and then you press the button and they go to sleep? Isn't that how
It's
it
not
works?
like it's not like the cat where I just lock her in her room. Sleep now. Bye.
It's bedtime.
Sorry, guys. Unless you get like a unicorn baby, no.
A unicorn baby.
Oh, cool, yeah.
I want a unicorn baby.
Take note. You're gonna have to come home from work and be like, Lita, do you need to exercise? Do you need me to do anything? Like,
Yeah, I'm going to strap the baby on my back and go for a run.
it's funny because I don't put that past you.
No, literally. It would be like one of my first purchases.
So tell us what's next for Hayley now then. You've had your bubba and everything. Now what's the plans for the next sort of 12 months?
Well, I actually go back to work next month. So that's going to be a huge transition for me, full time. My job is quite stressful. I'm a bank manager, so I'm a bit worried about going back full time, managing the baby.
Yeah.
Our house is going to be finished construction soonish, so we'll be moving. So then, yeah, and then baby number 2 will probably be around about another year or so. So you'll probably,
Wow.
yeah,
baby
hopefully if
number-
everything goes
Oh,
well.
that's
Jeez.
exciting.
So you're just going to cut your time down
Yeah.
again?
I'm not just saying I'm not pregnant right now,
Okay.
but there will be a number 2 sometime.
Sooner or later.
I was going to say we have had a few pregnancy announcements on the show. So was that another? No.
Yeah. She's like, no, not yet.
Not yet.
I did actually notice on your form that you're planning on maybe doing a 10K and a 15K or something run as well, or maybe working up to a half marathon. Is that something you're looking to do in the future as well?
Yeah, so I really want to try and get those goals, but it just depends on, I guess, timing. And I'm hoping. I hate saying my goals out loud because
Then you have to.
I don't know,
them.
just in case I
Yeah.
don't achieve, just in case I don't achieve them. But I would love to be able to do a half marathon by the end of the year. 10K is pretty soon for me, I think.
Yeah.
Just run my first 8
Oh, nice work.
straight. So, been working together with my run coach, which is Adam.
Oh, wow, nice.
He's been doing a program for me. And so, yeah, I've developed a lot since that. So hopefully I will get to that really, really soon.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
running's all
that's
about too. It's just
exciting,
like I was talking to Jody about that the other day with running because she just got a coach as well, and having the mixture of different training methods can really increase your running very fast. So that's good that you've got on that because that's very handy.
And honestly, if you do a 10, a half marathon it's just twice, so you'll be fine. If you
Literally.
can do 10, you can do more.
only-
It's that first 10 that sucks.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
the difference between a 10 and a 21 is just the pain tolerance. Like
And your headspace.
just literally, it's like doing 10K, it's just you're in pain for a lot longer.
It's just four park runs, you know. It's just-
And I've had a baby, so I've got that down pat, so it's all good.
I know,
100%.
that's it.
You-
Females are always better runners because you have a high pain threshold, apparently.
I have been
That's what I
told though,
heard.
and a lot of people have been warning me that with running after having a baby to really, really focus on your pelvic floor because it can get quite nasty if you're out for a run and, you know, your pelvic muscles just decide to let loose and you have a bit of an accident mid-run. So work on your
Well,
pelvic floor.
straight after I had
Shannon's face just
straight
then was
after I
like,
had
what?
Poppy. Straight after I had Poppy, I booked in to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, and I worked with her for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't-
so it's really, really important.
So much to learn. I didn't even
I
know there was
know.
such thing as
There's a
pelvic
pelvic-
floor specialist.
Imagine that. Hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work on people's pelvic floors. Like, it's kind of a very precise thing.
Yeah, well, it's a female physiotherapist, but it's really, really important because you can have
Yeah.
a prolapse, and a lot of people have prolapses after birth and they don't know it. So that's what I did pretty much before I started running again postpartum.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go.
All these little things. I'm so glad I don't
So
have to
should I
push a
start
watermelon
practicing with my pelvic floor now, or is it pointless?
out.
Like,
No,
does
just
it just
get a
go?
No,
coach.
do it now.
Okay, so
Do it now.
it doesn't just go to crap once you have the baby. Like I know it does, but like if I strengthen it now, will it be better for afterwards? I don't. Oh, there's just so much to learn.
It will help. It will help you have the baby too. It will help you push.
Hey, see, strength to push it out. That's it. It's like pimping your pump. That's a terrible metaphor.
Oh, God.
Anyway, Hayley, thank you so much.
On that note.
Yeah, for that note, I'll just leave you that one. Thank you for coming on, not only for coming on the podcast, but being a massive inspiration for me. You're someone I've definitely looked at and looked up to throughout this process because I feel like you are very successful and kind of what bariatric surgery is about. So from me, thank you very much for both of those things.
Are you looking at me?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, and would you like to say something?
I thought you were going to keep on going.
No.
Well, good luck. I'm super excited to see you smash out your 10K very shortly, and then hopefully by the end of the year get to a half marathon. No pressure though. I know that you said that you don't like talking about your goals out loud.
Just put it out there now.
But
Put the pressure on.
But can't wait to see you smash that, because you smash everything that you say that you're going to do. And like Shannon, you have been a massive inspiration to both of us. So thank you so much and joining us for another episode of
Thank
Barry
you.
Banter.
Why, yes, that is another episode of Barry Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.